And welcome back. Let's go ahead and take a look now at combining if statements and loops to go ahead and create a program that can, of course, accomplish a task that we want to do. So let's just say we have, for example, some variables. Let's just go ahead and say we have two of them. Let's say int num1 and num2. And let's just go ahead and have those be set via user input. So let's first just give a prompt. And then let's go ahead and get those numbers in. Now, since these are, of course, our integers, we're going to go ahead and assign that appropriate value. And we're going to get two of these. So we're going to go ahead and set that up. So we got num1, num2. And we're going to then take these two numbers and be able to do something with them. So, for example, let's just go ahead and have these two numbers be a comparison statement. So let's say if num1 is less than num2, let's have it do something. So let's just say if it is less than num2, let's have this print out a statement that's going to say looping until num1 is equal to num2. And let's just go ahead and do a while loop. And we're going to say while num1 is less than num2. Let's just do, again, a very simple thing here. Since we want num1 to increase, we'll say num1, and we'll just do plus plus. And that will allow that loop to continue until, of course, it reaches the value we want. Otherwise, let's make an else statement here. And let's just say else. How about else if they are opposite? If num1 is greater than num2. And let's go ahead and do the same thing, except now we're going to have it decrease. So we'll have num1 decrease by 1. And actually, just for a little bit more context, let's just make sure we go ahead and print out num1 each time, just so we can have those values there. Now I did notice I forgot to do some ampersand, so let's go ahead and place these on up here. And that should give us a good starting point. Now, this printf function might complain about me not having the proper things, but this is just so we can get a good start in our code. And we need, of course, one more condition here. We can just make an else statement that's going to handle anything else. And let's have this one now, a loop. Let's just do a for loop this time. And we'll say for int I is equal to 0. Let's go ahead and have it do I is less than num1. And well, actually, instead of I is less than num1, let's just do I is less than, do 10, I plus plus, and let's just have this do a num1 equals num1 times num1. So it's just going to go ahead and increase that. But we want to keep this from getting too large. So we'll just say if num1 is greater than, let's just say 1,000. We're just going to go ahead and break out that loop. And after the loop is done, let's just go ahead and print num1. All right, so we have a couple different things here. Now, of course, again, we had to clean up some of our formatting here, but this is good enough just to go ahead and test, see if we generate any errors. Yes, we do. We have, of course, some things here with num1. Doesn't know what that is, so we, of course, add that identifier in here. What should num1 be? Well, of course, this should be... Oh, I gotta stop my source code here. There we go. And so make sure that's stopped. Let's go ahead and add in, just like we have here, we have our %d. So anytime we have one of these, since we are, of course, dealing with integers here, we'll do %d. And then I'm just going to go ahead and just copy that. And we got a printf here. And I think that should be all of our printf functions that have number values in them. So let's give that a run now. All right, there it goes. Enter two numbers start. So let's go ahead and do something real simple for testing purposes. Let's just go ahead and say 1 and 2. And we get looping until num1 is equal to num2, and it just prints out 2. All right, and if you look, that makes sense because num1 is less than num2, we incremented it once, we printed it out, and that's all there is. Now I am going to go ahead and actually add in here a new line escape character here, just so that we have a little bit more fresh here. Let's run this one more time. Let's do something a little bigger. Let's do 1 and 5 this time. All right, and now we can see we get a 2, 3, 4, 5. I do want to probably maybe have that print out here a little bit more, so it's looping until it's equal. So I'm just going to add in a new line character here so that we don't have this kind of smushing in there. All right, and run one more time. Let's just now do 1 and 5 again, and you can see we get 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. And if we run this now with the other way, let's do 5 and 2. We get looping until num1 is equal to num2, but notice it didn't print out anything here. So we might have to check our code. So we say while num1 is less than num2. So it never hits this because we have the wrong inequality here. We want while num1 is greater than num2. We want that to run until it is going to be no longer true. So run that one more time. So 5 and 2, and we get 4, 3, 2. Oh, we forgot to, of course, put a new line escape character here. So run one more time for testing purposes. Never hurts to do a little bit of testing to test out your code. 4, 3, 2, perfect. And because we wanted to stop at 2 because we had the value 2. And now let's just test to see what happens if those two values equal. Let's do 3 and 3. All right, and we get 6, 5, 6, 1. All right, because what would be the values we have in here? We have it printing right here, num1. And remember, num1, we took num1 times num1 in here. We do have a break in here that, of course, stops if it gets greater than 1,000. So I'm just going to add in here, though, a new line escape character just to make sure we aren't having anything weird going on here. So let's just do 3 and 3. And again, we get 6,561, which means it did stop because it said, oh, this is greater than 1,000. If I change this, let's say, to 10,000 and run it again, we should, of course, get a different value. So do 3 and 3 again. Yep, and you can see it gets much, much larger. So it's good to have this here just to keep this from getting too large and out of control. But that's a good demonstration with a specific case of using both ifs and using our loops. We have, of course, a while loop here. We have a for loop. We have an if, an else if, an else. And we even have an example here of a break statement as well.